गुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामी नित्यनामने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। Which verse was it? 12? Is it 11 or 12 or we went
From
further?
11.
Yeah. एतत् सर्वं गृहस्थस्य समानात्मां यतेरपि गुरुवृत्तिर्विकल्पेन गृहस्थायार्तुर्गामिना. All the rules and regulations apply equally to the householders and the sannyasi, the member of the renounced order of life. The grihastha, however, is given permission to the spiritual master to indulge in sex during the period favorable for procreation. It is sometimes misunderstood that a grihastha, a householder, is permitted to indulge in sex at any time. This is a wrong conception of grihastha life. In spiritual life, whether one is a grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasi, or brahmachari, everyone is under the control of the spiritual master. For brahmacharis and sannyasis, there are strong restrictions on sexual indulgence. Similarly, there are strong restrictions for grihasthas. Grihasthas should engage in sex life only in accordance with the order of the Guru. Therefore, it is mentioned here that one must follow the orders of the spiritual master, Guru Vrittir Vikalpena. When the spiritual master orders, the grihastha may accept sex life. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7:11. Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi. Indulgence in sex life without disobedience to the religious rules and regulations constitutes a religious principle. The grihastha is allowed to indulge in sex life during the period favorable for procreation and in accordance with the spiritual master's order. If the spiritual master's order allow a grihastha to engage in sex life at a particular time, then the grihastha may do so. Otherwise, if the spiritual master orders against it, the grihastha should abstain. The grihastha must obtain permission from the spiritual master to observe the ritualistic ceremony of Garbhadana Samskara. Then he may approach his wife to beget children, otherwise not. A brahmana generally remains a brahmachari throughout his entire life, but although some brahmanas become grihasthas and indulge in sex life, they do so under the complete control of the spiritual master. The kshatriya is allowed to marry more than one wife, but this also must be in accordance with the instructions of the spiritual master. It is not that because one is grihastha he may marry as many times as he likes and indulge in sex life as he likes. This is not spiritual life. In spiritual life, one must conduct one's whole life under the guidance of the Guru. One who executes his spiritual life under the direction of the spiritual master can achieve the mercy of Krishna. Yasya prasadhat bhagavat prasada. If one desires to advance in spiritual life, but he acts whimsically, not following the orders of the spiritual master, he has no shelter. Yasya prasadan nagati kutopi. Without the spiritual master's order, even the grihastha should not engage in sex life. I have great difficulty in accepting this principle as an astrologer, because I see that different people have different karmas and different people have different, what do you call it? Different, I don't know what it's called, like capacity or sexual libido. In my experience, if people are too much forbidden from engaging in sex life like that, then I see that there are so many problems that come up with the clients. Like people have relationships outside marriage because they are not satisfied in the marriage. And then, the marriage can break and the children when they get to know about the father or the mother, they become very disappointed, and dysfunctional families, and so many problems can happen if this kind of principle is tried to apply. It's tried to be applied in cases where people may just have a different karma with their sex life, etc. So I have great difficulty in accepting this principle because of my professional experience in life, and seeing how much chaos this trying to artificially or immaturely or prematurely applying this principle. There can be, I mean, I'm not saying sex is a solution to problems or incompatibility issues or difference of opinion or difference of values and principles. I'm not saying that, okay? But as a religious organization, as ISKCON's principle, as a recommendation for advancement, I find this principle to be extremely impractical and fanatic, and I understand it as a goal, but as in to try to apply this black and white, I am not very favorable. I will not be able to recommend like this. In fact, anyway, I have an opposite issue. Like, yeah, people want to like, oh, we want to have child. Um, anyway, I don't want to get into details, but that's you understand my question, I suppose.
What's the question?
How do I reconcile between Shastra and Pramana or proof? My experience of trying to forbid people from having sex life according to their libido and according to their astrological chart, and what Shastra says, sometimes the distance is too far. And within a couple, the man may want more sex and the woman may not. In some cases, the woman wants physical intimacy and the man doesn't want. And I've seen severe problems happening by trying to apply this principle. So I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. It cannot be as this verse says. And what is your opinion about me trying to reconcile between my professional experience and the Shastric injunction, which I find very not practical? Not practical, it's not a work, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. If you try to impose this upon grihasthas, they may have relationships outside marriage. And then we have crazy situations with families. So, am I in Maya? I don't know. I just have a really hard time accepting this.
Well, here is talking about an ideal standard. Not everybody is an ideal standard. So, just like Narada Muni at the end of the previous chapter says, one should be recognized by their symptoms, no? If not by their birth. So similarly, one should be same concept. One should be recognized by the symptoms, and some people are on one level, some people are another level. So these people should be situated at the level in which they can function. So
Right.
So then, obviously, here is talking about an ideal level, ideal for spiritual life, for brahmanas. I mean, he's even said, Srila Prabhupada even said that kshatriya marry more than one wife because they have more passion. So everybody should be situated in their own class, in their own, but do the best. I don't understand what's the problem in
I
accepting
find
the
that
principle.
this has caused so many problems in so
Well,
many
if
areas.
it's applied in a neurotic way or in a fanatic way or in an immature way, maybe. But no, the principle is like sannyasa. You can say, oh, sannyasa, so many people took sannyas and then they suffer, but it means that they were not real sannyasis or they were immature, they were not ready. But you cannot say, oh, the sannyas ashram is wrong. No, sannyas ashram is for certain people. We read 1 or 2 days ago, one should be a brahmana before he can be a sannyasi. So brahmana means sense control, mind control, peaceful, all that, right? So one should be a brahmana and should be sufficiently detached from a family life and should also be, no, generally sannyasa is for older people. Srila Prabhupada often say, first 25 years brahmachari, second 25 years grihastha, then 50 to 75 vanaprastha, 75 to 100 sannyas. So you cannot blame the principle sannyas that so many sannyasi fell down, just like Madhva Sampradaya. You have that famous singer, what's his name?
Lakshmipati Tirtha something.
That also the other one.
Who?
This famous singer in Madhva line.
Who died?
In Madhva line.
Vidyabhushan. Yeah.
Yeah, so, he took sannyas, but wasn't his nature, and then he gave up sannyas. So, but you cannot say that there's something wrong in sannyas life. It's just some people are not for sannyas life. So similarly,
Vidyabhushan is
these are principles. Okay, I'm just saying Vidyabhushan in the sense that you told me so he was not having the astrological nature of sannyas, right?
Yeah, but I admire him so much because he didn't just go behind the ashram and have sex with some woman and remain sannyasi for the world.
Concept. That's a different concept. One can, what do you call, manage uh, or negotiate its exit from the
Honesty,
sannyas.
authenticity. But
Can I
I feel,
finish? Can I just finish my sentence?
sorry.
So you may appreciate how this person negotiated or managed his exit from the sannyas ashram, is stepping down. We are not discussing that. We are discussing that a person who was a problem in the grihastha ashram, you cannot blame a person was, same thing. Person was a problem in the sannyas ashram, you cannot blame the concept of sannyas. It's like a brahmachari. Some brahmacharya problems. You cannot just say, oh, brahmacharya life is wrong. Obviously, sometimes it's done in an immature way. Sometimes maybe, an 18-year-old boy say, I will never get married, and he doesn't know himself. He just, I don't know, enamored by saffron clothes, and he doesn't know himself. So he makes some vow, and then after 5, 10 years, 15 years, he feels it's not his nature. My point is that these are the principle of um, ideal grihasthas. Now, there are two things, at least two things. One, if one cannot follow, either is not willing to follow, is not able to follow, whatever. One is not following, then he's not situated at the ideal level. But you cannot blame the ideal level. And then, the second point is how to present an ideal level without making people frustrated, without making people feeling depressed, without people making people feel they're losers, they're failures, like that. So the two things are simultaneous. Just like we say, okay, initiation, 16 rounds. That's the minimum for initiated devotee. Now, some initiated devotee, they don't chant 60 rounds. Now, what do you want to do? They should understand. Okay, maybe it's a difficult time for some period. They're going a rough patch through a rough patch spiritually, but you cannot blame. Oh, initiation 60 rounds. You cannot blame the principle. So it's there's two things. One, understand the principle. If one cannot be at that level, okay, one should keep going and should be presented in a mature way. Just like in the eighth canto, next canto, in fact, in 5, 6 chapters, there will be the story of Gajendra. Srila Prabhupada explains that type young people take sannyas, they cannot maintain, but he say they should not go away. In other words, they should not give up the attempt, the project of Krishna consciousness. Should marry and then continue in their life. Just like we have good examples, like Harisori Prabhu. After Srila Prabhupada left, he took sannyas, maybe due to the culture that people know, okay, now you're a leader, you're GBC, got to be sannyas or something. He took sannyas. Apparently, it was not his nature. And then he gave up sannyas and he got married, a very, very nice devotee and a very nice daughter, and he's continuing his service. He wrote important books and he's doing different services. So life goes on. And as a movement, as a community, we are learning to find the balance between inspiring people for the idea, but not like giving up on them, even if they are not at their ideal state.
Yeah, I wish people in ISKCON had more of this kind of broader, wiser understanding and explanation and preaching, because there is so much extreme kind of, either people want to like justify that, hey, no, we can have sex whatever, however we like in marriage, whatever we want, and they don't want to like for keep a higher goal, or they become all guilty and shameful or fanatic and not want to give their spouse the intimacy because they think that it's bad or something. So it's like extremes, but the truth is somewhere in the middle, like I said earlier. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments or questions by Mataji? It's a kind of sensitive topic, but in my profession, I have to face this all the time. Clients always have this issue. So it's very practical for me to discuss this as a professional.
Otherwise, we can move on to the next verse.
Yes. You can read the Sanskrit, Prabhu, and somebody can read English if you.
Anjana Bhyanjanonmardha Striyavalika Vishamadu Raganda Lipalankarams Tyajayur Yebriadvrata. Acharyas or Grihasthas who have taken the vow of celibacy as described above should not indulge in the following: applying applying powder or ointment to the eyes, massaging the head with oil, massaging the body with the hands, seeing a woman or painting a woman's picture, eating meat, drinking wine, decorating the body with flower garlands, smearing scented ointment on the body, or decorating the body with ornaments. This they should give up. So here is clear. Brahmachari or Grihastha were taken the vows of celibacy described above. So those who are taken that vow, they should not do this thing. Others may not be at that level.
Mm.
Okay?
Hmm. Hmm. Should I do or?
Yeah, if you like.
उषित्वैवं गुरुकुले द्विजोदित्यावबुध्य च त्रयीं सङ्गोपनिषादं यावद् अर्थं यथा बलं दत्त्वा वरम् अनुज्ञातो गुरो कामां यदीश्वरा गृहं वनं वा प्रविशेत् प्रव्रजेत् तत्र वा वसेत्. Mataji, would you like to read the translation?
Sure, Mataji. According to the rules and regulations mentioned above, one who is twice born, namely a Brahmana, Kshatriya, or Vaishya, should reside in the Gurukula under the care of the spiritual master. There he should study and learn all Vedic literatures, along with their supplements and the Upanishads, according to his ability and power to study. If possible, the student or disciple should reward the spiritual master with remuneration. The spiritual master requests. Then the following the master's order. Disciples should leave and accept one of the other ashrams, namely the Grasta ashram, Vanapasta ashram, or Sannyasa ashram, as he desires. Purport. To study the Vedas and understand them, of course, requires some special intelligence. But the members of the three higher sections of society, namely the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, must learn the Vedic literature according to their capability and power to understand. In other words, studying the Vedic literatures is compulsory for everyone but the Sudras and Antayagas. The Vedic literature gives the knowledge that can lead one to understand the absolute truth, Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. Gurukul, or the reformatory education institution, should be used only to understand Vedic knowledge. At the present time, there are many educational institutions for training and technology, but such knowledge has nothing to do with the understanding of the absolute truth. Technology, therefore, is meant for Sudras, whereas the Vedas are meant for the Dvijas. Consequently, this verse states Dvijo Dyat Dvijo Daityava
Vidya
Devya Buddhya Cha Trayam Sango Sangopanishidam. Sorry, it's terrible. At the present time, in the age of Kali, practically everyone is a Sudra and no one is a Dvija. Therefore, the condition of society has very much deteriorated. Another point to be observed from this verse is that from the Brahmacharya ashram, one may accept the Sannyasa ashram, Vanaprastha ashram, or Grahastha ashram. It is not compulsory for a brahmachari to become a grahastha, but because the ultimate aim is to understand the absolute truth, there is no necessity of going through all the different ashrams. Thus, one may proceed to the sannyasa ashram directly from the brahmacharya ashram. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur accepted the sannyasa ashram directly from the brahmacharya ashram. In other words, His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur excuse me, did not think it compulsory to accept the Grahastha ashram or Vanapasta ashram.
Okay, any comments or questions?
So they're saying the technology is meant for the sudras.
Mm.
And so Dvija, this word Dvija, can you
Dvija
explain it a little
twice.
more? Yeah.
Dvija means twice born, means like those
Right.
brahmanas, Brahmanical initiation when we take.
Mm.
Brahmana. Dvija means brahmanas.
Mm.
Well, that's the colloquial term, but Dvija also refers to Kshatriya and Vaishyas. See,
Yeah.
all the three classes, they take, first of all, they should be ideally born with Garbhadan Samskara. But at least they should also go to Gurukula, and when they enter the Gurukula, they get the Upanayana. In other words, the Upanayana means they can study the Vedas. So when they take Upanayana, they are considered Dvija, twice born. It's not only the material birth, but also the spiritual birth as students of the Vedas. So Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishyas collectively are Dvijas. But generally also, I mean, colloquially, generally Dvija means Brahmanas, but all three technically, if they're culture, they're Dvijas.
Right. Thank you.
Was that your question, or was there any other aspects?
No, nothing else.
Okay. Dvija. Dvi means two. Ja is like Jamma, born. Dvija, twice born.
अग्नौ गुरौ आत्मनि च सर्वभूतेषदोक्षजाम् भूतैः स्वधामभिः पश्येत् अप्राविस्तां प्रविष्टवात्.
Translation.
Yeah.
I can, yeah. One should realize that in the fire, in the spiritual matter, in one's self, and in all living entities, in all circumstances and conditions, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, has simultaneously entered and not entered. He is situated externally and internally as the full controller of everything. Purport. Realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, omnipresence, is the perfect realization of the Absolute Truth, to be attained through the study of the Vedic literatures, as stated in the Brahma Samhita 535 and Daryastana Paramedu Chantarastam. The Lord is situated within the universe, within the heart of every living entity, and also within the atom. We should understand that whenever the Supreme Personality of Godhead is present, He is present with all His paraphernalia, including His name, form, associates, and servants. The living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus one should understand that since the Supreme Lord has entered the atom, the living entity are also there. One must accept the inconceivable quality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for no one can understand from the material point of view how the Lord is all pervasive, and yet is situated in His own abode, Goloka Vrindavan. This realization is possible if one strictly follows the regulative principles of ashram, brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. Srila Madhvacharya says in this regard,
Should I do the Sanskrit?
yes, Sriman.
अप्राविष्टा सर्वगता प्रविष्टास्त्वा अनुरूपवान् एवं द्विरूपो भवान् हरिरेको जनार्दना.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, in His original form, has not entered everything, Apravista, but in His impersonal form He has entered, Pravista. Thus He has entered and not entered simultaneously. This is also explained in Bhagavad Gita 9.4, wherein the Lord says, Mayam tata idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina matstani sarvabhutani nacham teshu avistata. By me, in my unmanifested form, this universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. The Lord can defy himself. Thus, sorry. Thus there is variety in unity. Ekatvam bahutvam. Can you scroll, Mother?
That's it.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Any comments, or I can continue?
Well, this is a basic concept of Vedic culture, Vedic revelation. Like in the Ishopanishad, we find Tadejati, Tanajati, Tadure, Tadvantike, Tadantarasya Sarvasya, Tadu Sarvasya Bhayataha. The absolute truth, God is Tadejati, Tanajati. He moves, but he doesn't move. Because obviously he can move, but at the same time he doesn't move because it's already everywhere. So doesn't have to move. Tadhure, Tadvantike is very far, but is also very, very close. It's very far because you can't reach them by any mechanical instruments, by the speed of any aircraft. You cannot reach God, but at the same time, it's in your heart, so it's very close. And then, Tat antarasya sarvasya. He is inside everything. Antar, inside, no? Antarasya sarvasya, or everything. Is inside of everything, but is also outside of everything. Tadu sarvasyasya bhayataha, bhaya, outside. So this is a fundamental concept, that Krishna pervades everything, but at the same time is not like he's in a box or is trapped in that pervasiveness. It remains transcendental. It remains in the Turiya stage, in the fourth stage. At the same time, is there. So it's inside, but not it's inside like a material object is inside another object, like the computer or the phone. You have so many little things, so many little circuits and things inside the phone or the computer. So it's not like it's part of the matter. So Krishna is always beyond matter, but at the same time, he pervades everything. So this is a basic concept. And here Srila Prabhupada connects it to the Varnashram. He says, no one can understand from the material point of view how the Lord is all pervasive and yet is situated in his own abode, Goloka Vrindavan. This realization is possible if one strictly follows the regulative principle of ashram, brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasa. And this is an important theological idea. I mean, in Christianity or in other Western philosophy, they have been discussing it for hundreds of years. Is God immanent and transcendent? Is within the universe or beyond the universe, and is both. Is simultaneously immanent. Everybody understand the word immanent? Immanent, let me translate for you, existing or operating within, inherent, permanently, and the theology is permanently, God permanently pervading and sustaining the universe. So some people accept that, or it's it's transcendent, it's I just create the universe and let it go to the laws of physics and like that. But for Vedic revelation, is both. Is simultaneously inside everything, controlling everything, and at the same time is transcendent. It's not part of the universe. Okay.
Okay. Evam vidho brahmachari vanaprasto yatirgrihi charan vidhita vijnana param brahma gacchati.
By practicing in this way, whether one be in the brahmachari ashram, gahastra ashram, vanaprastha ashram, or sannyas ashram, one must always realize the all-pervading presence of the Supreme Lord. For in this way, it is possible to understand the absolute truth. Purport. This is the beginning of self-realization. One must first understand how Brahman is present in everywhere and how he's acting. This education is called Brahma Jigyasa and the real concern of human life. Without such knowledge, one cannot claim to be a human being. Rather, he remains in the animal kingdom. As it said, Sa eva gokara. Without such knowledge, one is no better than a cow or an ass. Strong words.
Very strong. Okay. We move on. वानप्रस्थस्य वक्ष्यामि नियमा मुनिसम्मतान् यन् आस्तया मुनिर्गच्छेत् ऋषिलोकम् उहाञ्जसा.
Maybe one of the other Mataji want to read?
Nitikishori, you want to read?
Okay, Mataji. O King, I shall now describe the qualifications for a Vanprastha one who has retired from family life. By rigidly following the rules and regulations for Vanprastha, one can easily be elevated to the upper planetary system known as Maharloka.
Na krishta pascha. How do you pronounce that? Pacham. Na krishta pacham asniyad krishtam chapi akalatah agni pakvam atamamba arkapakvam utaharet. Nice, interesting verse.
A person in Vanprastha life should not eat grains grown by tilling of the fields. He should also not eat grains that have grown without tilling of the field but are not fully ripe. Nor should a Vanprastha eat grains cooked in fire. Indeed, he should eat only fruits ripened by sunshine.
अन्यश्चरु पुरोदासान् निर्वपेत् कालचोदितान् लब्धे नवनवीन्याद्ये पुराणं च परित्यजते परित्याजयते.
A Vanprastha should prepare cakes to be offered in sacrifice from fruits and grains grown naturally in the forest. When he obtains some new grains, he should give up his old stock of grains.
Any comments?
So that you don't have the accumulating tendencies. So that's why I think.
For me, it's a little bit like reading a fantasy novel.
Yeah, too high standards of physics.
there is like material, mundane, perverted fantasy, and then there is the spiritual level, Vedic fantasy. So this is for me Vedic fantasy, all these verses.
Well, like I'm wondering, what is the significance of these things in Kali Yuga? Because on one hand, these things are there. On the other hand, they say only Nam Sankirtan is enough, Hari Nam is enough. Because in Kali Yuga, mostly people are attached, and so for me also, it looks so high standard. So chanting Hari Nam is comparatively easy as compared to doing all these things.
Mm, I
Well, the
agree.
point is that, see, Kali Yuga, there are different phases in Kali Yuga. So this Bhagavatam is an illumination for Kali Yuga. And obviously 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago, people were actually able to do it. So, I mean, we have not like invented Kali Yuga. We are, 5,000 years into Kali Yuga. So we shouldn't think that, oh, we are the center of universe and we are the center of the time, eternal time. So Kali Yuga is not all the same. So for thousands of years, even in Kali Yuga, some people were very strict and controlled. They could live like this. Basically, we are talking just after the advent of the Industrial Revolution, right? In the, say, 18th century. But before that, the whole world, uh, at least India, where Parnasha was there more, then this was all centered in rural life. So here is all talking about there are cities, there are forests, and there's nothing else. Even the cities were pretty organic and eco-friendly, and there was no what do you call there was no pollution, there was no smog, there were no cars, there were no fossil fuels. It was just everything was very natural. So this has been done for thousands of years. So now we may not be able to do, and the acharyas don't tell us to do these things. It doesn't mean that they were not done. Like you see even Dhritarashtra went to the Himalayas, or even the Pandavas left. They followed this type of things even harder because they were just going to die. Things like that. We see that, and that was also Kali Yuga. So there have been for thousands of years people for whom this was literal. You do that. Now, first of all, they were people more qualified than us. Second, they have been in Gurukul. They already had performed austerity. Now, we can extract the principle. In fact, the Acharya extract the principle. So, Vanaprastha life is it's a detoxifying life. In Grihastha life, one has so many things, different clothes, different possessions. You have the garden, you have the subject garden, you have the business, you have the money, you have some sort of bank account, some bank storage, you have the children that are growing up, then you have to marry them, and this and that. It's like Grihastha life is very involving and involved on many, many levels, economic, relationally, socially. You have your prestige, you want to show off for this and that. But Vanaprastha means, okay, stop with that. Now the children is gone, they're married, you don't do business anymore, you don't have to show off anymore, you don't wear silk anymore, you don't take care of your hair anymore, neither men or women. It's like, now detox. Now go to the forest. And Sri Prabhupada explained, people were able to do it because they have been to Gurukul, like the Pandavas. Okay, Pandavas are special because they grew up in the Himalayas as yogis. But even when they were in Hastinapur, they went to the ashram of Dronacharya. So because they were doing this Gurukula training, then they could do this in Vanaprastha life. Now, Srila Prabhupada, in fact, doesn't even give a purpose, so it doesn't stress these things because he knows it's not really for people of this day and age. But we should extract the principle that Vanaprastha is a life of austerity, is a life in which, okay, you have worked so much in the material world, even if religiously, even if in a civilized way, now you get out of the material world. You don't have any more neighbors, you don't have any more plans for business, you don't trade, you don't do anything, you have no possessions already. You can stay with your wife, you go to the forests, and of course those forests were different than today. But you go to the forest, they were rich in natural food like berries and fruits, and you find because even fruits degenerated. By the time, okay, you can live on fruits, you can live on berries, and you can just use the bark of trees for covering yourself. It's a very tough life. So for detoxification. So, but we need to extract the principle. So also our vanaprasthas should cut off. They don't have to go literally to the forest, otherwise, they may die, they may get a cold and die in 20 days. But the principle of detaching from material life. Of course, nowadays, vanaprastha, they may still have a car, they may still have some sort of investment because they need to eat in this world. They can't just eat fruits. Where are you going to go and eat just fruits? Even fruits are very costly. So, but you should extract the principle. No more fancy clothing, no more cosmetics, no more all that. And in fact, this is not just for the vanaprastha, like we saw yesterday when it describes the brahmachari, it should wear matadere. Matadere means you don't cut, you don't comb, you just leave it growing naturally, and it becomes all like packed, like caked, like rastas. Rasta Bob Marley. No, they become like that. You just let it be. Now, there is a lecture, not only lecture, there is a practical example of Srila Prabhupada, but there is a lecture by Srila Prabhupada on that verse. And he explained you should see the principle. Now, cutting off the hair, like brahmacharis do, meaning shave up, or matted hair, is the same principle. You don't look, there's nothing to look at the mirror. You don't really care how you look because both matted hair or no hair, it's the same principle of you don't care for the beautification of the hair. You don't stay there with comb. You don't put hair gel. It's like both. It's the same thing. But for this day and age, shaved up is better because it's more clean. It's more clean. It's more respectable, and it just of the two, the principle is the same. You don't care for hairdos, but it's better to shave up. But the principle is exactly the same. Like there, it was also said that the brahmachari should wear this deer skin, but it's much more impractical nowadays. First of all, where you find all the skin, maybe it's super costly, maybe even forbidden, because where you got the deer skin and so on. So cotton, saffron cloth, or for Gurukul, maybe white, whatever. Simple clothing. The principle is the same. Brahmachari is not thinking, oh, what I'm going to wear today. Da, da, da. No, they're wearing one color, one style. Even in ISKCON, there are different colors. Brahmacharis wear different colors, either because they don't find the right color or because they have a style in a certain area, like, in Chopati, they have a certain color. In other places, they have a little more pinkish color. That's a detail. But the point is that Brahmachari does not thinking every morning, oh, what will I wear today? No, you got the dhoti, you got the kurtan, or some people just wear chadar. And that's all you wear every day. You don't think of this thing. And you don't think of your hair. You just shave them up. Finish. So similarly, this vanaprastha, we don't follow these things, or eating only fruits from the forest, but the principle of austerity and detachment should be applied. Is that more clear?
Mm.
Yeah, yes, thank you, Prabhu. It makes sense.
Okay. You can continue.
Agnyartham eva sharanam otajam vagari Shreyata hima vayivagni varas varsha kapata satvayam. A vanprastha should prepare a thatched cottage or take shelter of a cave in a mountain, only to keep the sacred fire. But he should practically practice enduring snowfall, wind,
Personally,
fire.
issue personally.
Sorry. He should personally practice enduring snowfall, wind, fire, rain, and the shining of the sun.
Yeah, obviously people were much more tough and much more healthy. Nowadays, I mean, somebody just stay in the rain 2 hours, you may get pneumonia, what to speak of snowfall.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Kesharomanakha samshru malini jatilo dadat kamandala vajine danda valkagni parichadan. The Vanprastha should wear matted locks of hair on his head and let his body, hair, nails, and mustache grow. He should not cleanse his body of dirt. He should keep a water pot, deer skin, and a rod, wear the bark of the tree as covering, and use garments colored like fire.
Now, because Lord Chaitanya's movement, it's a preaching movement, it's a Sankirtan movement, so Vanaprasthas, they also need to be acceptable in society. Not only, I mean, the fact that it's very hard to do many of these things, but they should also be acceptable. So if you never clean yourself from the dirt on the body, or you go around without cutting nails, so you have the long black nails, that would be not very appreciated. No, you look like either like a madman or a very dirty person. Now, the people, they could do that to help them going inside themselves, not thinking less and less of the body. Nowadays could be a distraction. And Vanaprastha and Lord Chaitanya's movement in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, they also have some responsibility in propagating the movement. So these things definitely, they're secondary, or they're not done, they're not even recommended. As you can see, Srila Prabhupada doesn't even give a purport to these things. He's not stressing, okay, Vanaprastha, now you don't cut your nail, you let mustache grow, you know.
Yes.
Okay.
Charidvani. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. चरेद्वने द्वादशाब्दान् अस्तु वा चतुरो मुनिः द्वावेकां वा यथा बुद्धिः न विपेदेत् कृता. Being very thoughtful, a Vanprastha should remain in the forest for 12 years, 8 years, 4 years, 2 years, or at least 1 year. He should not behave in such a way that he will not be disturbed, or he should behave in such a way that he will not be disturbed or troubled by too much austerity.
Okay, so this is an important principle to notice. You see, there's not just one way. Obviously, there is a difference between doing 12 years in the forest and doing 1 year. Still, 1 year is a long time if you're not accustomed, but it's much different to do 1 year than to do 12 years. So just like brahmachari, there are Naishtika brahmachari, Upakurvana brahmacharis. There is Naishtika means brahmachari who never marry, make a vow for the whole life. Upakurvana, they make a vow that, okay, until they're in the Gurukul, they're not married, then they get married. So, in other words, these are not homogeneous blocks. Okay, all Vanaprastha are like this, or even sannyasi, we will see there are 4 stages of sannyas: Kutichak, Bahudak, Parivrajacharya, and Niskriya, or Paramamsa. So, in other words, we need to understand there are different stages and also different ways of doing these things. So, we need to extract the principle. Okay?
Mm.
Yada kalpa sva kriyayam vyadhibhir jarayatava anvikshikyam va vidyam kuryad nashnadikam. When, because of disease or old age, one is unable to perform his prescribed duties for advancement in spiritual consciousness or study of the Vedas, he should practice fasting, not taking any food.
Mm.
Atmanyagni samaropya sanyasyaham mamatmatam karaneshu nyaset samyak sanghatam tu yatharhatah. He should properly place the fire element in his own self and in this way give up bodily affinity, by which one thinks the body to be one's self or one's own. One should gradually merge the material body into 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and sky. Perfect. The body is an effect of cause, namely the 5 material elements: earth, water, fire, air, and sky. In other words, one should know perfectly well that material body is nothing but a combination of 5 elements. This knowledge constitutes merging of material body and the 5 elements. Merging into Brahman in perfect knowledge means understanding perfectly that one is not the body but a spiritual soul.
Okay, should we do one more?
Okay.
Ye khami vayo nishvasans teja sushmanam atmavan apsva asat sleshma puyani hito shesham yathodhavam. Mataji, somebody can read the translation and purport.
A sober, self-realized person who has full knowledge should merge the various parts of the body in their original sources. The holes in the body are caused by the sky. The process of breathing is caused by the air. The heat of the body is caused by fire, and semen, blood, and mucus are caused by water. The hard substances like skin, muscle, and bone are caused by earth. In this way, all the constituents of the body are caused by various elements, and they should be merged again into those elements. Purport. To be self-realized, one must understand the original source of various elements of the body. The body is a combination of skin, bone, muscle, blood, semen, urine, stool, heat, breath, and so on, which all come from earth, water, fire, air, and sky. One must be well conversant with the sources of all the bodily constituents. Then one becomes a self-realized person, or Atmavan, one who knows the self.
So Srila Prabhupada's purports are very precious and necessary because they clarify the meaning. It's okay, one should be very, very, very clear that we are not this body. And how do you become very clear? By studying. No, the body is made by different ingredients. Certainly we are not just muscle, we're not just bone, we're not just skin, we're not earth, we're not fire, we are not water. So by an analytical intelligence, we saw in that verse we say 12 years, for 2 years, 1 year, 12A to at least 1 year, they would say should be reflective, should be thoughtful. This is what the Vanaprastha is doing. It's creating a deep detachment by analyzing. It's not just theory, oh, I'm not this body. Okay, next. It's more like meditating. I'm not the elements of this body. So that's a self-realization, knowing that I'm not this body, I'm something different, that I'm in the body, but I'm not the body. So then one becomes a self-realized person, Atmavan. Okay, anything from anybody? Otherwise, our time is up.
Anyway, these verses were a little hard for me to digest. As I said, it feels like some kind of a Vedic fantasy.
Well, they are for more qualified people. There are more qualified people that have been there in the previous 5,000 years, and it may not be applied to everybody, but it did apply to certain categories of people, very qualified people, and we should extract the principles. So principle of austerity, the principle of detachment in this case. We may not do literally what is written, but we should appreciate that we need a phase in life in which we detach. Well, men and women. Men stop doing business, women stop taking care of their hair. It's a phase of life, which is important. But it's real, like it's real. Don't buy any more cosmetics, don't buy any more fancy sari. You understand? I'm moving towards death, and I'm shedding all these attachments. There was a time for that, and there's a time for detachment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Nirantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jai. Thank you so much. Hari Bol.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.